Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I'm Only Run Very Noob, bringing you more Bravo gameplay. I thought I'd do something interesting today and play Uzuri, which is the same matchup I posted yesterday, but it was one I've captured with the different philosophy that I was talking about yesterday, which is where I like to run just 70 cards and really sort of use the hammer to and make them beat us, keep life total high and such. I'm using a different build here. It's definitely an interesting one. Um, I believe this is very close to what Dagan White used in Nationals. Dagan White, very accomplished player, top 8 at Nationals a couple years back. Won the Dev Challenge at Worlds. Um, I want to say he was an Oldhim player mainly. But of course, you can't play Oldhim anymore, and he brought Bravo to Nationals. Just talk a little bit about the deck list. It has Red Staunch, a card that I've tried, but I didn't really play a lot. It has the blue Fyendel's Fighting Spirits, which I'm kind of warming up to. I really didn't like it before, but I think it's actually like pretty reasonable in matchups that aren't just Lexi, when originally I thought it was only Lexi. 3 Stamp Authority, notably only 1 Showtime. So I feel like he wants to use this over Showtime, like in the turn 0 kind of spike, um, sort of like high rolling when you go first and get to just play an aura for free. It makes a lot of sense though, because Stamp Authority is very good against Lexi, stopping all the on hits. It's also very good against Uzuri here. They have a bunch of on hits as well. 3 Fate, 3 Sync, which is kind of standard. Only 2 red choke slams, which I think is fine. What's taking the slot of the 3rd choke slam that was very, very interesting? It is this one Down and Dirty. Um, yeah, not 100% sure if I like it yet. I'm just kind of like running it because I think that's what Dagan was running. You can get it back against Lexi with Codex, so you don't get blown out with no arsenal. Still being able to combine with a 3 block from hand to stop like an arrow for 5. Against Dromai, it's still just a popper like Chokeslam, but if you can get it in arsenal, I guess that's kind of cute as well. And only 1 Warmongers. Um, I'm lower and lower on this card. Like, I don't even know if I'd want the 1, to be honest. But yeah, against Uzuri, I'm just running all 70. And I guess one other thing I should note is the amount of blues. It only has 38 blues in the whole deck, which is a little lower than I like to bring, but not like egregiously so. I lost the die roll and they still had me go first, which is what I would have picked if I won the die roll, so not bad. With this hand, I'm probably just looking to make a surge and arsenal the defense react. I'm even hammering for 6. I guess just getting started on the fatigue plan immediately. I noticed they're only on 60 cards, and getting 2 cards out of their deck to start is nice. Pitch decking the Crippling Crush next to the Rouse is reasonable as well. We do make them cycle their hand, but we see they block with quite good cards, so we got a little lucky we made this decision here. Maybe it's just the right call too. I'm not 100% sure. I don't normally like letting my opponent cycle their hand, but just getting the fatigue started early is certainly reasonable, I think. This might be kind of boring gameplay. Maybe I should speed it up a little, but maybe we'll jump around. Because my plan is definitely to just block, protect my life total, and have the game go to fatigue with a comfortable life total, kind of really forcing them to do something. Yeah. Spider bites, I'm not really happy to block. maybe you could block it with like the Rouse the Ancients, since it's only a 2 block, and if they come in with something really big here, we're going to be forced to block anyway. We only see an Eradicate. I guess I'm just going to use the Sink Below. Because I have another one to replace it with. I have another like Sink Below in hand and in arsenal. Maybe just blocking with like some cards would be better though. I do sink the Macho Grande down to the bottom. Pitch decking that Rouse now. And there was potential for us to like draw a threat that we'd want to play off this Surge. We could just throw Cranial Crush, but I think just hammering is fine and keeping the Stamp Authority in hand to be able to block through a Spider's Bite as well. And then we get to pitch stack another Rouse in between that Macho Grande and the Cranial Crush, which is another consideration. Where if we played the Cranial Crush, this second Rouse couldn't have been turned on. It would have been pitched next to a blue Stamp Authority. Oops. Increase the playback speed a little bit. Here, you know, Crippling Crush with a Surge up is always pretty enticing, but I think I'm just going to stick to the plan. Block 3 on the Hurl, and then look to block this Enlightened Strike as well. Since it's just an Enlightened Strike and not a... Oh, he chose Draw Card, okay. And not a disruptive attack, like, we could just take 5 and throw Crippling Crush. But it looks like I decided not to. I just block 3 and stick to the hammer plan. With us on 70 cards and them on 60, I don't really think we're going to need to play attacks to fatigue him. Because Crippling Crush is definitely like a good attack to fatigue. But honestly, it's not that much better than Hammer. It's just an attack that like forces them to block, where they might just like end up taking 6 from Hammer. But Hammer is like +2 fatigue rate if they want to stop it, right? Like it's 0 cards from our deck, they have to block 2, where Crippling Crush is 1 card from our deck and they have to block 3. It does leak a little bit of damage, but if the main plan is to fatigue them, damage isn't really like exactly what we're looking for. If we notice them start taking a bunch of damage from the hammer, though, we can always switch to a plan that starts fatiguing them with damage. But starting the deck up 10 cards already, I think, gives us a pretty big advantage. I think we just want to protect our life total, to not get like daggered out or isolate, dominate, shred out of the game. Could have even blocked that E-Strike for 6, but I think, yeah, maybe we just block it for 6 and then just like hammer for 4. Might even be more in line with the plan. So what did he... That was just a Spider's Bite, right? Yeah. Then he throws an Isolate. We have a defense reaction arsenal, so we can just block with 1 card and then react to Uzuri. Sinking the Spinal, since we're not going to be able to play it. I'm just trying to get to pitch deck faster, maybe. We end up drawing a Sigil, which is like okay here. We can just hammer for 4, gain 3, and then arsenal the Sink Below. My cat's got the zoomies.
What are you silly kitties doing?
He blocks with Black Tech Whispers, which is a little scary. Kind of means he's probably looking to use them soon. Oh, we draw a hand that can pummel a Command and Conquer. It's always very enticing, but I think we just got to stick to the plan. I think even blocking the Spider's Bite with the pummel might be like reasonable, but we have the defense reaction arsenal, so we might not need to do that. Annihilate the arm though, I feel like I just want to take 5 and then just like dominate, or not dominate, pummel the Command and Conquer. But it's a little scary because they blocked their Black Tech Whisper, so maybe they want a Black Tech Whisper of this. Which is exactly what happens. We kind of played right into that. We play Leave No Witness. We can just use the sink below and still end up pummeling the Command and Conquer, hoping that they arsenal their last card and it's not like a shred or something they want to use. But I think if we're trying to just fatigue, this might be an error here. Because even if they block with 2 cards and then lose 2 cards, we still have the same +2 fatigue rate that the hammer would provide. Because this costs us 2 cards from our deck, and they're losing 4. Luckily we draw a hand that can use the tempo. We have a Surge and we can just throw Command and Conquer and Arsenal of Fate Foreseen, which is very good for us. But so in hindsight our play was like pretty good, but I still don't think it was like great when we made the decision, which is of course how you make decisions. He only blocked 7, which I think is probably a mistake. He must have just counted wrong. We'll dominate a Spinal. We don't need to sandbag this Fate Foreseen. We can just like pitch it since we already have one in Arsenal. And then it'll come around later, which will be good for us as well if he ever gets us down to like an isolate endgame. I don't like to block give and takes. I just take the damage. I don't want to give him back a card. And we have definitely enough life to just kind of take it. It doesn't even really have go again because of the Spinal Crush. We get to hammer for 10 with the pummel and then gain 3 with the sigil. And at this point, we've really been able to capitalize on the tempo we got from that pummeled CNC, which kind of makes our decision feel pretty good at this point. Although I think just going hard fatigue might have been a little better. We just block with Command and Conquer. We can even use our defense reaction in Arsenal and then just throw a Starstruck. Although we could hammer for 6 and Arsenal unmovable, which might even be like better. But I just end up throwing the Starstruck. Here I think this is 3 damage we just want to take, so we can Zealous Belting, pitching the Buckling Blow. We weren't expecting this Death Touch, so here I think we do just Staunch Response the Death Touch, Hammer for 4, and Arsenal Zealous Belting. I was really looking to Zealous Belting into Hammer and then Arsenal the Staunch Response, but we can't just be taking Death Touches, especially since if we take the Death Touch with 4 cards, they might even inertia us. This is kind of a weird spot. Just leave no witnesses with 2 cards behind. We can't turn on our Zealous Belting, which is a little unfortunate. We could just like play the staunch response on it so that he can't yellow shred us, and then we still get to hammer for 6. We could play we could block with Terra Sunder and Rouse, which kind of loses out to shred, but then if he shreds us, we can hammer for 4 and arsenal red staunch. Or we could like play unmovable and kind of take the same line if we get shredded. Slightly worse against red shred though. I think I like just playing the staunch response and hammering and moving on here. Pretty unfortunate we can't turn on our Zealous Belting though, because we don't like to have something sitting in Arsenal for a long time. They just have so much Arsenal disruption. This hand can sort of turn on the Zealous Belting, pitching the Starstruck and then having Terra Sunder. But we're going to get Shakedown here. He's probably going to pick blue. Yep. So here we just pitch Starstruck to play Zealous Belting. I think I should play the one from hand since he saw that one, but yeah. It's better than just hammering for 4, pitching both of them, I think. Because at this point we're up so many cards. You can't see my deck, but it has like 43 cards in deck right now. They only have 21. Go again, E-Strike. I was considering blocking with Chokeslam and crowning away my Zealous Belting maybe? But I end up just taking 5 here. But again, I'm not sure that's very good. I think I should probably just like block 3, and then on the next attack block 4 with Belting and Down and Dirty and just hammer for 4. It's kind of an interesting spot, because if I keep my life total super high, I don't think I can really lose to Fatigue. Like, I have twice as big a deck as him. And he plays Leave No Witness. I could just block 4 with the 2 reds in hand, and then still have a Zealous Belting turn and have no arsenal. I could use an equipment and like Down and Dirty to block 4, having a Zealous Belting turn and still having 1 in arsenal. I think I like just blocking. Like, why would I block with Crown here? It's interesting. I block 4 using equipment. I undo the Crater Fist block just in case this is shred. I don't want him to shred my Crater Fist to destroy it. But I think I probably could have just blocked with like the second Zealous Belting. I don't need another Zealous Belting really. I guess this keeps an arsenal for Codex purposes, which is definitely something to be mindful of. But with Down and Dirty and the discard pile, I can always just get Down and Dirty versus Codex and block with that. Codex of Bloodrot into Annihilate the Armed. I guess I block with equipment to not mill a card, but I'm not sure that that's necessary at all. He ends up shredding me. But we do get another Zealous Belting turn here, and then Arsenal the Sigil. And he basically has like no cards in deck. He's got 13, we have 40. So keeping our life total high is just going to win the game here. He hasn't been getting a lot of Spider's Bite value. I think when you're going against Fatigue, you just really have to ping with your weapon as much as possible to get as much value as you can. Here, of course, we just block Leave No Witness for 6, and we can throw back a Chokeslam. not really afraid of fatiguing ourselves, so it's not like we would want to pitch into the hammer with this choke slam to like make a surge and hammer for 5. Just throw the choke slam and we're gonna get there. You're looking for a scrap, which only comes in for 4 because of the choke slam. He pitches the surgical, so we don't know if that's what he's going to play after this. So I think we can just block with Command and Conquer. And then block with another blue on the next thing, or even Staunch Response it, and then hammer for 4. He ends up throwing a Nerve Scalpel at us, which is a little interesting. I guess he's not afraid of fatigue. He should definitely be daggering us over and over and over to try to get as much damage as possible. Yeah, I think I just blocked 2 on the hurl. Like, yeah, we could block this for 3 too. Then gain 3 and Arsenal the Staunch Response. Just make him kill us with his last 9 cards. Stopping as much damage as possible. Still have a bunch of armor. I don't think our opponent really has a way out of this game. The only way they could have maybe done it is by cycling daggers. But they also have such a low life total that we would make them block by hammering them over and over. And that's what we're going to do, just hammer over and over. If we have 1 card, hammer for 4. If we have 2, hammer for 6. And they're just going to run out of cards. I don't think there's any combination of like 8 cards they could have left that will deal 15 through a Fate Foreseen and Arsenal and the armor we have up. While also blocking against the hammer. Finally starts daggering, even though he pitches 2 reds. Yeah, we'll just block it because we can with armor and our Fate Foreseen. Because we can just play like Arouse the Ancients and then Arsenal Crippling Crush and use their whole hand to block. And their next hand is their last hand they'll have that has 4 cards in it. Probably even have to give us an armor here, unless they have a D-React. Yeah, we won't even dominate it, we'll just throw it. He only has 1 card in hand, so that's the end of the game. So I wanted to bring this game to you guys just to kind of like show my plan, and maybe side by side you can watch both videos and see how both plans play out. I think this game went kind of fortunate for us because we decided to pummel a Command and Conquer in the like early to mid game, and then we got to draw like 2 hands after it that got to utilize the tempo very well. Like I was saying when it happened, like I think if you're on the fatigue plan, you can just like not use your defense reaction arsenal there, not use your armor there, and just kind of like block and make them beat you. They might have not been super prepared for fatigue because I feel like if they were, they would have just like daggered us a bunch. Maybe our tempo plays made it so it would have been very costly for them to dagger. So that's something to consider too. Like maybe even when you're fatiguing, you can like shoot your shots once in a while. But if you're playing 70 cards and they're playing 60, I think you just kind of want to keep your life total high so you don't die to their end game, and just sort of make them beat you. And until some really good Uzuri players show me how they can do that, I think that's going to be my plan. If any really good Uzuri players I play against like sort of show me this plan isn't that good, I'm probably going to have to refine it and maybe even look for spots to flip the tempo like I did in this game, to force them to like block with cards they don't really want to, or sort of mess up their pitch stack by being aggressive around turn 14 through 16. So yeah, thanks for coming. Comment, like, subscribe down below. Let me know what heroes you want to see, and so when I play them in Talishar, I can just like hit that record button. I don't record all my games. I just kind of like randomly start recording like a few games. Maybe I should record all my games because some of the games that aren't recorded are kind of cool. It just takes up like a ton of space on my computer, but maybe when I'm done recording them, I could just like delete it if it's a bad game. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time.